This rezoning, we are not forcing anyone to build anything specifically. We are simply opening the door for people who would like to build this type of product to do so, and we have strengthened what happens at development permit by allowing neighbors and community members to have a say.
Adam Sos here for Rebel News. I want to read something directly from the City of Calgary's website regarding this rezoning process that we've now seen pass by a vote of 9-6 in favor of rezoning the whole city in blanket fashion. The statement from the city reads, on May 14th, 2024, after listening to Calgarians in the largest public hearings in Calgary's history, City Council voted to approve citywide rezoning with amendments. We're currently determining how these actions and amendments will be implemented in the coming months. This page will be updated as information becomes available. These amendments will rezone the city to a new base residential district of low-density mixed housing. They will also allow both a secondary suite and a backyard suite to exist on the same property, while removing parking requirements for backyard suites. So what that effectively means is if your neighbor decides that they already have a basement suite and they also want to add a backyard suite with no consideration for parking,
you have the opportunity to use one of the tools at your service to make things better. It is important that you do so.
You're probably never going to be able to park on your own street again. One of the councillors who's been fighting against this and who had voted against this is Councillor Dan McLean for Ward 13. He's going to be giving us an update on why this vote went through, which people are struggling to understand given the massive negative feedback that this rezoning encountered during record-setting hearings here within the city. He's also going to break down what it means for Calgarians and what, if anything, Calgarians can do about it moving forward. We just went through this whole rigmarole, 700 people coming out, 230 something panels, 6,000 written testimonies, overwhelmingly opposed to this. What was the point of all of that public hearing if the rezoning process is going to amount to City Council doing what they want anyways?
That's a good question. That was my question. I said, what was the point of having weeks and weeks of public engagement? So we had open houses, we had sent out letters, we did flyers. Then we had 700 people come speak for weeks. We had thousands of submissions. Each councillor, we all did our own polling.
Yeah.
And our own little public engagement. And I guess I could safely say 3/4 of the people don't want this.
Yeah.
And so why City Council would not vote with the majority is beyond me.
Yeah.
The majority of City Council voted against the majority of Calgarians. So here we are.
And for folks who don't get just how sort of one-sided this is, even mainstream media, the range is from 65 to 80% opposed. Is there any way to argue that this is what Calgarians wanted based on what you heard throughout these public hearings?
No, I don't understand, because we still get that. People saying, where are you getting your information? People need this.
Right.
People want this. But I think a lot of people were misled.
Right.
By different, what I call the experts, from different people who spoke from administration in favor, thinking that this was going to lower the cost of their home or of homes or make rents more affordable. And I just have seen no evidence that that's going to happen.
There's talk of some concessions. What, if any, concessions were made from what was originally being discussed to what was finally passed by a 9-6 vote?
So the amendments, I call it putting lipstick on a pig, basically what they're doing.
Yeah.
And now they're going to try to sell this out there and say, well, okay, we added a couple of things, a little bit more parking here, or instead of having backyard suites everywhere, because right now, remember, you could have a fourplex with 4 basement suites and then 4 backyard suites. So all of a sudden you've got 12 families on where one family used to live. So again, the garbage containers, the parking, the traffic, the infrastructure. So they said they've reduced some of that in certain areas, but at the end of the day, it's still a pig's a pig.
Yeah. Why is this the hill that these people are willing to die on?
Well, the Trudeau bribe is in there.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's part of that, and administration told them to do that. Then there's just the group think, what I think we've got a lot of, where you have Gondek and her crew. So they've got nicknames I won't repeat, but they vote as a block. It's getting very tribal now, and I don't understand. And I've seen a lot of bullying going around in City Hall, and I won't use specific examples, but I think they're not thinking clearly. They're being told that this is the right thing to do. Ignore the people. You're smarter than them. We're smarter than them. And do your job as a leader. And I disagree with that completely.
Now, just given some of the conversation that was taking place today, the argument that they use to advance this is more affordable housing, more places for people to live. Conversations today about expanding the city and building new communities. Are these same councillors who are advocating for this densification also saying, well, if people want to live outside in new communities, that's okay? Or are they opposed to that type of new housing?
Well, we're doing this right now in council. We're talking about growth communities, and we see the same group opposed, where we can build thousands and thousands of homes in these new communities where we've invested. They're against that, but they seem to be in favor of this blanket, which was going to probably affect a few hundred homes in the inner city or in established communities. So I don't get it. They always say follow the money. There's the Trudeau bribe money. And let's not forget the developers downtown. If you can take a $600,000 home and turn it and sell it into four $600,000 homes, that's a lot of profit. Or especially the $700,000 or $800,000 homes. And let's not forget the city. Then if they were taxing a $600,000 homes, and now they've got 4, 5, 6, 8 taxable homes, this is all of our revenue for the city. So, yeah.
This seems very in line with sort of the liberal government mentality, where we heard Mayor Gondek talking about like sort of not owning property being a relief while she owns a few properties. But why is it that these governments, whether it's the liberal government or the municipal government, they're willing to sort of potentially help renters out? The very wealthy people who own these properties are going to prosper, but sort of middle class families who maybe want to buy a house in the suburbs with a small backyard, that's being basically priced out, or they're not allowing that to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's an ideology. You call it a woke ideology or a progressive, ultra-progressive ideology. And so I think you kind of nailed it. We're here because of the federal Trudeau policies of the mass immigration, deficit spending, huge borrowing, inflation. All of those things are what's causing a lot of this hiring crunch. We should have been investing in, we've got a labor shortage here. I mean, we can't even build the homes because we don't have qualified labor. So, there's a bit of a war on the single-family home, on the family, and the car. That's the big one. I mean, don't forget, this is a war in the car. We're all going to ride bikes and ride on mass transit. And this is Calgary's just not going to happen. So it's you got to wake up and smell some coffee.
Well, the new mayor seems to have like a fleet of large gas-powered SUVs everywhere she goes. So we'll leave that aside. Now, we have seen the province suggesting that on issues like, for example, non-citizen voting, they may interject. A lot of conversations surrounding Bill 20. But is this the type of thing that you could potentially see a province weighing in on, or does this fall pretty fairly within municipal districts?
Well, the province is clearly upset at the big city mayors and the progressive councils that are, instituting terrible policies. But the one that's going to really matter, I think that's important, is the ultimate recall is at the municipal election. And we'll see with Bill 20, I think, what the province is probably not going to weigh in on this particular bylaw. I think the one for the single-use items, the bag bylaw, I mean, we got that scrapped. I was very proud to champion that. But they might have stepped in on that one. But this one, I think we'll have to get a full recall, will probably come at the next election. We have to recall council and then recall this bylaw.
Now, I suppose a final question for you on that note, is there anything citizens can do beyond getting involved in politics municipally? We saw recall efforts, I mean, kind of a low shot, I thought, to say, none of these count because of a little technicality. But beyond that, is there anything that Calgarians can do to sort of address this if they're extremely concerned, beyond showing up and letting City Council know that they didn't want this over the last few weeks?
Stay engaged. You see this all the time in municipal apathy or in politics. How many scandals has the Trudeau government got away with? Same here. This policy after policy coming out of City Hall is very unpopular. And now in the next year up to election, you watch all of a sudden some of this more controversial stuff disappear. So stay engaged, remember, and vote.
Guys, I gotta say, I don't believe that there is a climate emergency in this city, and if I'm being honest, I don't think many of the politicians advancing this narrative do either, and I know you don't. If you believe that politicians need to stop advancing radical ideologies and building us all in the process, I'm encouraging you to sign our petition at noclimateemergency.com.